So today we'll continue with the Nectar of Devotion, the southern part we were reading, and we completed certain class and certain portions, but then we are going to continue further. But before that we'll sing a bhajan and then we'll continue. Srila Rupa Goswami was the chief disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in glorification of him we'll sing this song, we'll ask for his mercy, and then we can go ahead. So can somebody read the translation first? Jan, you want to read the translation? It's a small song. Just if you go down, then they will go down momentarily, and then we can read the translation first, and then we can do the song.
How can an ill-behaved person like me attain devotional service? I have no loving attachment to Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. My mind is endlessly absorbed in Maya, and I don't even have the slightest loving attachment to the Vaishnavas. I have been blinded due to being absorbed in sense of gratification day and night, and the which named Maya repeatedly hangs and gnaws around my neck. There is no way to defeat her or give her up unless I attain the mercy of the saints. O Vishnava, O Master, you do not look for faults, but you simply redeem the fallen. This time redeem this Narottama.
Thank you. So it's said to the Vaishnavas, but specifically here it's mentioned to Rupa Goswami, so we'll sing that song. So it goes something like this. Kirupe paibo seva mui durachara Shri Guru Vaishnave rati na hoilo amara Kiru Kirupe paibo sheva mui durachara Shri Guru Vaishnave rati na hoilo amara Ashesha maya te mana magana hoilo Vaishnave te leshe matra ratina janmilo Ashesha maya te mana magana hoilo Vaishnave te lesha matra ratina janmilo Peshaye bhuliya yanda hoinu divanishi gale phasa dite phire maya se pishashi. Vishaye bhuliya yanda hoinu divanishi gale phasa dite pire maya se pishashi. Vishaya bhuliya yanda hoinu diva ihare koriya jaya chadano nayaya sadhu kripa vina ara nahi ko upaya. ihare koriya jaya chadano nayaya sadhu kripa vina ara nahi ko upaya. Adosha darashi Prabhu patita uddhara ei bara narotame koroho nishtara. Adosha darashi Prabhu patita uddhara ei bara narotame koroho nistara. Kirupe paibo sheva mui durachara Shri Guru Vaishnave rati na hoilo yamara. Ashesha maya te mana magana hoilo Vaishnave telesha matra ratina janmilo. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kirupe paibo seva muy durachara Sri Guru Vaishnaverati. I don't remember that. Na janmi lo amar. Okay. Right. Thank you. That's a nice bhajan. So there is one diagram that if you can project, it'll be nice. But so do we have copies of Nectar Devotion, or should we? Because okay, we'll wait. Just give a couple of minutes. Yeah, a couple of minutes, and then we'll do. Oh, that's wonderful. So we can expand this a little bit. I want to. Okay. No. Okay. Open with. Can you click on open with? Yeah.
Yeah, open with PPT. The top menu.
You can. Okay. Anything is fine. You can use the Pixit editor is fine. The first one is fine. We can expand it. Oh. Okay, that's fine. Go back.
You can save it over and then open it locally.
So, while it's happening, what we'll do is we'll offer Mangalacharan prayers, and then we can go from there. Oh, that also needs to be projected. All right. Okay. So you can either.
Down the left, the next one. The next one. No.
Inside the printer, sign.
Okay, I'll do it. That's fine.
You can zoom in and zoom out.
Is everybody able to see a little bit?
Yeah.
I would like to thank Radha Venkat Prabhu for doing this wonderful diagram. So, before we start, Charlene, can we have the Mangalacharan prayers, please? And then we can do that, and then we can get started. Mangalacharan prayers. Not the full one, or the pranam. Oh yeah, pranam prayers, abridged version. That is the correct one. You were there. Oh, it's already opened. Wonderful, very nice. Okay. So for those who are not familiar, the prayers we are going to do is a recitation or invocation of auspiciousness and blessings, because the spiritual subjects are something which you can't grasp with the present intelligence. So we beg for our predecessor acharyas in their mercy to help us understand. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhayascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Matsamo nasti papatma, naparadhi cha kaschana, parihare pilajjame, kim bhruve purushottama. Bhumau skalitapadanam, Bhumirevavalambanam Tvai jata paradhanam Tvameva sharanam prabho. Govinda vallabhe radhe Prarthaye tvamaham sada Tvadiyam iti janatu Govindo mam tvaya saha. Radha radhita radhesha Radhika prana vallabha Radha Ramana Vande Tvam Radhika Prema Nirjita. Adadanas Trinam Dantair Idam Yache Punah Punah Srimadrupa Padam Bhojo Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Rajoham Syam Bhave Bhave. Hare Krishna. The chief need for a human being, if you cut through all the different achievements and realizations and the depth of knowledge and achievements in either business or philanthropy or in the material world, in politics, sports, whatever you call, beyond all the achievements and beyond all the superlatives that exist in the world, the chief desire for a human being, for that matter a living entity, is to be loved and to love. In spite, you can see it, in spite of the fact that people have tremendous amount of riches, they still have to feel that urge to be appreciated, to be loved, or to love someone. In absence of a proper loving relationship, people tend to go to extreme lengths, sometimes even unnatural lengths, to get love. If the family, in the modern context, it is pretty visible that people have pets, especially dogs. There is a certain affinity. Please understand that it's a serious business for the dog owner to take care of the dog, because you have to take care of it when you travel. You're just like a family member, yes? Yeah, when you go out of town, you have to make sure that the dog is taken care of, and then when the dog falls sick, you have to take it to a doctor, and then, it's exactly like any, loving relationship. But the question you ask is why? Because in modern day, that love has become either overused, abused, or pretty much shallow in family relationships, or even in a society or communal relationships. The deep hankering of love that is there in the living entity has to be fulfilled somewhere. There is, but Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Nectar of Devotion, teaches us that loving propensity, when it's invested in God, gives the highest satisfaction, gives the highest joy and bliss to the soul, achieving which there is nothing beyond. Now you might say, this is all emotional hogwash and sentimentalism, and it's just some fleeting emotions that are going here and there, and that you kind of describe love of Godhead. But actually that is not the fact. The reason is this. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that we are eternal spirit souls. We are part and parcel of God. And we read in Brahma Samhita, because we are part and parcel of God, we have a relationship with God. If I am a part of something, then I have a relationship with that particular thing whom I am part of, yes or yes. So if I am belonging to a nation, which means that I have a relationship with that nation is mine, and then when time comes, that nation is going to protect me. So there is eternally a relationship when something I say is mine, or I am someone's, which means there is a relationship. But in the influence of false ego in the material world, that relationships are not satisfying, not deeply satisfying. But love of Godhead is so far beyond that relationship. When Krishna says that the living entities are my part and parcels, and I say I belong to God, which means I have a relationship with God. When you say relationship with God, what sort? And exactly how are they different from the relationships that we have in this world? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that we are all part and parcels of Him, and we are eternal spirit souls. That we have these bodily designations, but they are temporary. After I die, this present body, I'll have another body and another set of relationships, another set of identities, another set of work. There are so many things that happen. But in this changing relationships, what is that one eternal relationship that can never be subject to destruction of time? That is all encompassing and all loving. It's all beautiful, and that is love of God. But still, there are skeptics out there. All right, okay, so beautiful. You glorified that, painted this rosy picture, love of God. But is there any science to it? Or in science and love, can they meet? Because where there is hardcore facts and specific characteristics and all those things, you're talking of love of God, which is emotional, and the science, which is based on hard facts. So do they ever meet? And the answer to that is an emphatic yes. Because Rupa Goswami has taken time to go through all those minute details of what exactly is love of Godhead. It's not just a feeling. It is not just some sort of emotional thing that I feel once in a while and then, it's done. And he has examined in the southern part in a very, very fine details. So last class we read there are 5 characteristics of rasa. What is rasa? Let's go back. We had discussed at length what is rasa. Rasa is, somebody said it is rasam. And then somebody said it was mellow, somebody said it was a feeling, somebody said it was an experience. So all these definitions are true except rasam part, which we can talk a little later. But even rasam can give rasa if it is offered to Krishna and tasted by Krishna. That's a different story. So rasa, in a sort, is the experience or the emotional waves that hit the soul when you experience love of Godhead or a relationship with God. There are 5 types of relationship with Krishna, which is neutral, which is of friendship, which is of being a servant, which is of being the parent of Krishna, and which is being a lover or a conjugal relationship with Krishna. Amongst these 5 types of relationships, but if you have a relationship, what does it mean? We took the example that a child has a natural relationship with a mother, yes or yes. And that is not changeable. Throughout their life, it's always the mother's role is what it is, and the son or the daughter's role is what it is. But in the relationship, when you experience certain emotions, they become what is called that love that comes from that relationship. So technically, love of Godhead is called rati, and the emotions that relationship brings about is called rasa. So there are 5 components to rasa, and if you can see, please forgive me, it's still little, we may have to expand a little bit. And then we can scroll from left to right. Please, one more, yeah, perfect. Go on to the left. So if you come down a little bit, Charlene, come down so that I can see the top portion, the root. Okay, perfect. So if you see on the rightmost corner of your screen, the heading is called rasa. And then what is called vibhava. The first component of rasa is called vibhava. Or there should be a cause. There should be a cause of that love. I'll give an example. Morning, the child goes off to school, yes or yes? Most of the times. Unless there are vacations, or some other reason. Now, mother is at home, once the child goes off to school, a mother who stays at home kind of cleans up the house and, puts all the stuff aside. And then she goes to the bedroom to make the bed, and she sees all the toys of her child, all the clothes. When you see that, naturally that love comes about, right? There is some remembrance of that child. So similarly, vibhava is called the cause. If you see vibhava, that is on the leftmost corner, that is called vibhava, or the causes. So there are 2 divisions of vibhava, that is called alambana and udipana, which are, in essence, what they are called is, they are excitants and stimulants. So Krishna is, and then alambana is divided into 2. So we'll just read a little bit, and then we'll probably get. This is a topic that can be discussed in many classes, but we can start with that particular factor. Any questions before we go ahead? So the vibhava has 2 causes, which is called alambana and udipana. Alambana has 2 again causes, vishayalambana and ashrayalambana. These are all like technical terms, but we can go along, as we go along, we can define those terms. And then the vishaya or the subject is, what is subject here? Subject is Krishna, because he is the object, he is what is called the center of love. Everybody is attracted to Krishna, but in various ways. So he is the subject or the center. He's called Vishaya. And then Ashraya is literally speaking those who have that love. And that is the devotees of Krishna. So therefore it is called, if you see we'll just go Vibhava, which is Alambana in the downward, and then there is Vishaya in the, if you keep on going on the left, and then there is Vishaya has like, but Krishna, what sort, Krishna, how do you define Krishna? So the Krishna has again further forms, which is called Swarupa and Anyarupa. Swarupa is my own form of Krishna, Krishna's own form. If you see the Lord standing on the altar, if you see the threefold bending form, that is called Swarupa of Krishna. Anyarupa is that Krishna is coming as Balaram, or an expansion of Krishna. For example, Prahalad has love for God in a neutral, Shantaras, but his love is attached towards Lord Narsimadev. Lord Hanuman has the Dasyaras, but it's attached to Lord Ram. So similarly, Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ji ki Jai. Why is it being closed? Oh. Okay. So Krishna has Swarupa, which means his own form. But here, sometimes Krishna disguises himself. There is a story in Vrindavan of how Krishna disguises himself as Vishnu. That is one thing. The other thing is Krishna disguises himself as a lady servant, as a lady to approach Radharani. There are many stories like that. So one of the stories is how Radharani is bitten by a snake, if I remember, and then Krishna himself as a lady, because Radharani says, I am very chaste, only ladies can touch me, and Krishna disguises himself as a lady and then goes. Sometimes Krishna disguises himself as a sannyasi. In Vrindavan, he does all these naughty things in Vrindavan. So Krishna is Swayam himself as he is, or he is disguised. We are still in the leftmost quadrant. Vibhava, this is Alambana, and then Vishya, which is Krishna, which is Swarupa and Anyarupa. You are able to see, is that clear enough, or should we expand a little? Okay. And then Krishna is called Avrita Rupa and Prakata Rupa. Avrita Rupa is disguised, right? Krishna. And Prakata Rupa is fully manifest. When Krishna is playing on his flute on the banks of Yamuna, he is fully manifest. And he is as he is. But Avrita is Krishna is disguised. He covers up with various disguises. Sometimes Krishna disguises as Radharani's husband. Sometimes, as we discussed, as like a woman who can cure snake bites with herbs. Sometimes he disguises as sannyasi. Come sit here. You can come sit here. So that is Krishna's various disguises, but Prakata Rupa. So that is the Vishaya. If you this will get a fair idea, because the first 20 through 26 chapters of Nectar of Devotion exclusively talk of Krishna in our Vibhava. This is the first component of Rasa, which is Vibhava. So we were reading Nectar of Devotion for a few pages last class, and then we can have the further reading. So Charlene, if you can please bring up Nectar of Devotion and chapter 21. I think we completed 20. We completed 20. Books. Twenty-one. Okay. So we were discussing, right? So Krishna has two features. Here it is called personal features can be divided into two. One is covered and the other feature is manifest. It's Krishna himself. Krishna is not expanded into Balaram, but Krishna disguising himself or being. So this is something where Srila Prabhupada says it's Anya Rupa or Avrita Rupa. Avrita Rupa or Swayam Prakash or Swayam Rupa. So we can go from, how do you want to go? Yeah, Simantini Matji, and then we can go like this. You can read one paragraph each, and then if you want, we can reduce the font a little bit, maybe, if that's okay. Yeah, so that we can read more, or the size. Sorry, the screen a little bit less, so that we can have more. That's fine. You can please start reading. Go ahead, Simantini Matji.
Personal features can be divided into two. One feature is covered and the other feature is manifested. When Krishna is covered by different kinds of, his personal feature is covered. There is an example of his covered personal feature in Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with his Dwaraka Lila, his residence in Dwaraka as it is king. Sometimes Lord Krishna began to play by dressing himself like a woman. Seeing this, said, "How wonderful it is that this woman is attracting my ecstatic love exactly as Lord Krishna does. I think she must be Krishna covered by the dress of a woman."
So here Krishna is disguising himself as a woman, and okay, good.
One devotee praised the bodily features of Krishna when he saw the Lord in his manifested personal feature. He exclaimed, "How wonderful is the personal feature of Lord Krishna! How his neck is just like a conch shell. His eyes are so beautiful, as though they themselves were encountering the beauty of lotus flower. His body is just like the tamal tree, very blackish. His head is the canopy of hair. There are marks of Srivatsa on his chest, and he is holding his conch shell. By such beautiful bodily features, the enemy of demon Madhu has appeared so pleasing that he can bestow upon me transcendental bliss simply by my seeing his transcendental qualities."
Srila Rupa Goswami, after consulting various scriptures, has enumerated the transcendental qualities of the Lord as follows. Number 1, beautiful features of the entire body. 2, marked with all auspicious characteristics. 3, extremely pleasing. 4, indulgent. 5, strong. 6, ever youthful. 7, wonderful linguist. 8, truthful. 9, talks pleasingly. 10, fluent. 11, highly learned. 12, highly intelligent. 13, a genius. 14, artistic. 15, extremely clever. Expert. 17, grateful. 18, firmly determined. 19, an expert judge of time and circumstances. 20, sees and speaks on the authority of Vedas or scriptures. 21, pure. 22, self-controlled. 23, steadfast. 24, forbearing. 25, forgiving. 26, grave. 27, self-satisfied. 28, possessing equilibrium. 29, magnanimous. 30, religious. 31, heroic. 32, compassionate. 33, respectful. 34, gentle. 35, liberal. 36, shy. 37, the protector of surrendered souls. 38, happy. 39, the well-wisher of devotees. 40, controlled by love. 41, all auspicious. 42, most powerful. 43, all famous. 44, popular. 45, partial to devotees. 46, attractive to all women. 47, all worshipable. 48, all opulent. 49, all honorable. 50, the supreme controller. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has all these 50 transcendental qualities in fullness, as deep as the ocean. In other words, the extent of his equality is inconceivable.
So I have a question here. We say that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and we hear that how Lord Ananta has been singing of his glory since time immemorial. Lord Ananta is a partial expansion of Krishna. And so he has been singing of his time immemorial, yet to this day he has not been able to find the end of his characteristics or qualities. Do we hear that? But isn't it contradictory? 50? Only 50 qualities? maybe there is some mismatch here. He has been singing for so long, we have done it in about 5. Where is the mismatch? How do we explain that? Any thoughts?
These qualities also can be expanded. There can be sub-branch.
There
Inside humility, there will be aspects of humility. And also, these are maybe the qualities which we can understand also. There may be some qualities which are beyond our understanding. So Srila Rupa Goswami just enumerated those qualities.
Wonderful. Actually, to add to that, he has 64. As we read further, we have 64 qualities. The other thing is, all these are enumerated from where? Rupa Goswami has enumerated Krishna's qualities in various kinds of scriptures. He has taken the scriptures, and this is the quality of Krishna. This is what he did. This is what he did. But these scriptures can give only a window into the qualities of Krishna. Because Krishna is unlimited. He acted his pastimes in this material world. Vyasadeva and others, they wrote about Krishna, and we can enumerate because it's easy for our understanding. Because infinitesimal soul, how can we take in the infinite? It's practically impossible. You can't take it. So Rupa Goswami has given based on the scriptures which talk about Krishna. But as it said, in the earth, the Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses. But in the planets of demigods, Bhagavatam has millions of verses. It's not that they are filling up with the same. Because Krishna's qualities can expand unlimitedly. So to the extent we can understand, from the based on the scriptures, to that extent our assimilated those qualities. That is one aspect. The second aspect is each of these qualities Krishna has possesses to an infinite degree. Whereas for the jiva, it is in an infinitesimal degree. Even though one is liberated. Is that clearer? Okay. Because, yes, Swapnil Prabhu. Here. I request you to come somewhere here so that you can.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, here one of the qualities that's mentioned is religious. So, is that quality, does that quality when it descends to this world, like worshipping Lord Vishnu, or even in the spiritual world, he displays his religious quality? So,
excellent question. And my request to you is that if you are extremely anxious to know, like today, please read. Because the beauty of Nectar of Devotion is Rupa Goswami has not only given the qualities of Krishna, but before he quotes that scriptures that authenticate or verifies that quality of Krishna, he has given a definition of what that quality means. He says, as we go ahead, as we read, then you will know what I'm talking about. So when you see the definition of religious, then you will see that religious in this context can mean different from what you are perceiving it to be. In your aspect, religious means to worship demigods or the Supreme Lord. Right? But somebody else can say religious means doing your duties properly. Did he do it? Yes, he did it. So it depends. So therefore Rupa Goswami, he's such a genius that he gave a crystal clear definition of the quality before he said what this quality was. So we can, and each of these quality has been described as in subsequent chapters. So if you can just, continue reading, then probably you will find your answer. Is that okay? All right, thank you. Please, your turn to read simultaneously the same.
as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, the individual living entities can also possess all of these qualities in minute quantities, provided they become pure devotees of the Lord. In other words, all of the above transcendental qualities can be present in the devotees in minute quantity, whereas the qualities in fullness are always present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Prashant Prabhu. Yes, Jai Kanaya Prabhu.
Mantaji, can you scroll up a little bit back to the same paragraph that we just read? Yes. So here it says, can also possess, or qualities can be present. So is it that the living entity develops that qualities, or they are already present and they become manifest after we go into devotional service, where it says that within the Lord they are always present in fullness?
So, a normal person, when he becomes sick, is in a sick condition or in a diseased condition. So, in that time, his natural qualities might be suppressed, right? Because a person who is active, who is cheerful by nature, because when he is sick, might not exhibit those qualities. But when he regains his health, then he might resume the same, exhibiting the same qualities. So the jiva has these qualities always, because the jiva is not changeable. If you go back to Bhagavad Gita, it is said, avyaktoyam, achintyoyam, avikaryoyam uchyate. So it is said about the soul, that the soul cannot change. If the soul can get qualities that did not exist in the soul before, which means the soul is changeable, right? But it is against the Bhagavad Gita where the soul is not changeable. So those qualities always existed in the soul, but in the conditioned state, those are covered up. Just like in a deceased man or a lady, those natural conditions are covered up. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I think scroll down. Could you please? Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Besides these, there are other transcendental qualities which are described by Lord Shiva to Parvati in the Padma Purana and in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with a conversation between the of the earth and the king of religion, Yamaraja. It is said therein, persons who are desirous of becoming great personalities must be decorated with the following qualities: truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, perseverance, renunciation, peacefulness, simplicity, control of the senses, equilibrium of the mind, austerity, equality, forbearance, placidity, learning, knowledge, detachment, opulence, chivalry, influence, strength, memory, independence, tactfulness, luster, patience, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, mannerliness, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution of all objects of enjoyment, gravity, steadiness, faithfulness, fame, respectfulness, and lack of false egotism. Persons who are desiring to become great souls cannot be without any of the above qualities. So we can know for certain qualities are found in Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul.
So here, this statement is a reverse reflection. We talk of God having certain qualities, right? One of the ways we can perceive those qualities is to see if we exhibit those qualities in ourselves and then magnify it unlimited times. It's there in God. I'll give an example. Krishna is the source of everything. So if I have certain qualities, which means invariably Krishna has those qualities, without which they cannot exist. I'll give an example, a simple example. Everybody is familiar with downloading an app on the mobile phone. Yes or yes? So when you have this app on your mobile phone, which means it should be present on the server from where it was downloaded, yes or yes? Because the server is the source of the app from your phone and on millions of other phones. If it is not there on the server, then it doesn't exist here. Assuming that that app is not completely downloaded, but you have to, it's a synchronization. wherein some data is being pulled from server or whatever, is everybody able to get, Silicon Valley you take for granted and give technical examples, but so if I have this quality, which means Krishna is the server from which everything is being downloaded. If Krishna does not have it, it really doesn't exist. I can't have an app which never exists anywhere. Yes or yes? Unless you create one, which let's not waste our time. But nevertheless, so when Padma Puran says, oh, these are all the qualities to be if you want to be a great person, but those qualities have to come from Krishna because Krishna is the source of all qualities. So it's a reverse logic. Therefore it is said, so we know for certain that these qualities are found in the Supreme Lord. Is that clear? Okay. Hari Sankirtan Prabhu, yes. You have a question? No, wait, he has a question.
All qualities come from Krishna, and when we read this, we read only the good qualities. We don't read, Rupa Goswami doesn't highlight any of the bad qualities. But in the material world, we start with things like ego, hatred, jealousy, pride, right? And so much cruelty. But why does it, that has to come from Krishna? Then how do we relate that? And when we read about spiritual world, like we were reading Bhagavata about Vaikuntha Kingdom, it said, Krishna is always in the mode of pure goodness, there is no ignorance, there is nothing. Then how are those qualities coming into us from Krishna? What is the relation there?
Did everybody get the question? Okay. Because that's one of the things. If God, in summary, the question is, if God is all good, why there is so much world? If everything good comes from God, why is there evil in this world? Yes or yes? Evil is not coming from Krishna. I'll come to that. All qualities come from Krishna, but in Him, those qualities are relishable. But when you try to put those qualities in the conditioned state, then they become the source of problems. I'll give an example. If you rob from a house, then will the government give you a medal? Or will there be an essay written and distributed to all the 6th grade children talking about your glories? But when he did it, to this day, it is a relishable thing. So he becomes Makhan Chor, he becomes so many things. There is whole Kartik month is purely based on that particular pastime, in one sense. How he stole, broke, and how basically this Damodar Leela is destruction Leela. But we glorify it. He broke the pot, he stole the butter, then all those. He broke everything. He broke the trees. So there was, but when Krishna performs his pastimes, they are relishable. But when it happens in the material world, it takes on a whole different meaning. So that is the reason Krishna is the source of all the qualities. Be careful on what you want to adopt.
The example that we give is Makhan Chor, or we can say that Krishna killed the enemies.
Yeah.
But he performed those pastimes in the material. When we talk about Krishna, we are talking about Golok Vrindavan, because that is where his original spiritual entity is. Maybe he's performing the pastimes of Golok Vrindavan, like doing Makhan Chor there, because it's a relishable pastime. But I don't think he's going around killing people in Golok Vrindavan, right? He's not. And he's not the one going around killing children, or torturing animals, all those things. How are those qualities coming to us then? When we give examples which are only relishable, but there are certain examples which I don't want to tell here, but you can understand when we read the papers, everything. There's so much cruelty happening, which you cannot imagine happening in the spiritual world at all. That means, how does those qualities come into us from Krishna?
So, okay, Kuladvipa Prabhu had a point. You can, no, you go ahead, and then Naveen also have something to add to that, so then we can go ahead.
So I wanted to say, even in the material world also, the last, anger, greed, envy, these can be used in Krishna's service. In Nectar of Instruction, we saw Srila Prabhupada was giving example of Hanuman. His anger was used for the service of Lord Ramchandra. So these are even apparently treated as a bad quality, but when it is used for Krishna service, like gopis, Their lust is used for Krishna. So it is like overly glorified. Or even considering in material platform, you are using for your own sense gratification, then it is bad. When you are trying to satisfy your own ego, then it is bad. So same thing is existing in the spiritual world and also in material world. But our perspective, how to exhibit that quality, that actually makes the difference, to my understanding.
Thank you. Oh, you have to turn on the mic.
I don't have much of the knowledge though, but that's what I realized, that light only matters when there is a darkness. Truth only matters when there is no truthness. Goodness only matters when there is badness. So if everywhere is light, you don't need sun. If everywhere is truthness, you don't care what is untruthness, right? When everywhere is love, you really don't know what is hate. So when there is hate, when there is darkness, that's why you are here. That's why you are looking for God. If everywhere is love, everywhere is light, you don't look for God.
Okay. Thank you for those comments. But coming back to Hari Sankirtan Prabhu's thing, why there is all that is in this world that's not there in spiritual world? Because the reason is Krishna says this material world is infected by the three modes of material nature. And the jiva has a volition to act, but most of the times they act in ignorance. It's a funky situation wherein I want to be independent of God. I want to forget. I want to be in the illusion that I am the controller. God is there everywhere. And He says, all right, if you want to be in that situation, then I'll give you a peculiar situation where you are in that situation where you think you are the controller, but actually you are being controlled. I was just contemplating on this fact. This material world, body, human being and animals thinks they are controller. You have seen National Geographic thing where the animals do some things to mark their territory. What is this marking your territory? And what is it that, I am going to fight for a female, especially they fight to death over a particular female. Or, they do so many abominable things, but why? Because the false ego, the controllership is so predominant in the conditioned living entity, and how this material world is full of controllers, and the illusion is that's the illusion of controllers where they are being controlled all the time. See, Krishna's control, it's so perfect. You think you are the controller, but you are controlled all the time. So in that peculiar state, you will obviously act weird, completely against the principles of God. Because you have no idea of what spirituality is, you have no idea of what religious principles are, especially in this age of Kali. Previously, had you gone to Satya Yuga, you would see it would be perfect, because nobody would even harm anything, forget an ant. But Kali Yuga is like that, and where the modes of passion and ignorance are so strong. Ignorance is just destruction. If you don't believe in me, I'm going to kill you. Or if I don't believe in my way of thinking, then I'm going to kill you. But the fact is that God is controlling you and me. What's the point in trying to dominate over others when there's the same God that's controlling everybody? Who are you trying to bring to your way?
My question is one level higher. I understand that philosophy that we are trying to control, so we came to the material world. My question is basically on the qualities. When we glorify the qualities, we say it comes from Krishna. Do the bad qualities also come from Krishna? That's my, because if the thing is, example of the source of app, downloading the app. If I have a quality of cruelty in my heart, right? If I go around kill people, that quality has to exist in Krishna, because that is why it's coming to me. Otherwise, how will I get that quality?
No, that quality in Krishna. The reason being, that is the quality that you have acquired under the modes of material nature.
So then we are...
So Krishna is source of all qualities. Yes, Krishna can kill. Krishna is death personified. He says in Bhagavad Gita, I am death personified. In fact, he is killing every day millions of people in that sense. How many animals, plants, human beings are dying every single day? Forget every single second. And who is responsible for that? Krishna. He's killing everybody every second, millions of souls at the same time. But his killing is different from our killing. That's my point. There is a following and there is an imitation. So death comes from Krishna. Death is Krishna. Death I am, he says in the Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter. So death is Krishna. And it comes from Krishna. But when you take that death and apply it in wrong ways against principles of religion, then you are conditioned it's not coming from Krishna. In the same vein, Krishna says, dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamoshmi bharatarshava. He says that I am not different. Actually, from a perspective, the union between man and woman is something, says Krishna says, if it's not against the principles of religion, that I am. How can I explain that? On one level, it's gross and base, and it's disgusting. We shouldn't be doing it, or so on and so forth. But Krishna says, "This is I am. I am of the gambling. I am of the cheats. I am the gambling." He says, "I am gambling." So all these qualities exist in Krishna, but as a soul, it's incumbent upon us to know what is wise for us and what is not. God is so many things, but I can't be God. I am inherent. That's one other thing. Achintya Bheda means I am eternally subordinate to God, and He is eternally the spirit, the supreme spirit and supreme controller. So have that relationship. I can't download everything from God because I can't. My capacity, my server capacity, is infinitely small. He is infinitely expanding. So that relationship has some amount of discrimination to know God is everything, but I am not everything. So where does that limitation do we draw? Is that a little bit? Yeah. So Krishna is so many things. He has qualities where we cannot. The other thing is, so that's one aspect of Krishna. So Krishna. Let's come back to the present context. I'll try to satisfy your answer completely. So qualities of Krishna exist. Death, gambling, all those things are in Bhagavad Gita. But this is specifically about love. Rasa Tattva. Because if Krishna is death personified, will you really have loving relationship with Krishna? Arjuna experienced that. He saw the Virat Rupa, oh my Lord, please forgive me. I thought, you are my friend, I joked with you, I laughed with you, but now I know you. In that moment, Arjuna didn't say to Krishna, hey Krishna, I saw your Virat Rup, now let's have dinner together. He was scared. He was like, please forgive me, and the 11th chapter. So he more of Rasa Tattva, what qualities of Krishna evoke rasa versus what qualities of Krishna evoke fear. In Bhagavad Gita, it was fear that was evoked. And Krishna deliberately takes measures not to disturb that relationship in Vrindavan. He is death personified in Vrindavan too. He killed so many demons, but he took pain to cover the Vrajavasis so that their loving relationship is not disturbed. In fact, when he had to swallow the forest fire, he said to the cowherd boys, please lie on the ground, close your eyes. You won't want to see me doing that. So the Rasa Tattva defines that certain qualities of Krishna are highlighted, but certain qualities are suppressed. Otherwise, Krishna is everything to everybody. Is that a little bit answer your question? Yeah. So this is mainly of Rasa. Somebody had.
So there is another aspect to it, Prabhu, that we are discussing. That is basically the continuity of qualities or simultaneousness of the qualities in Krishna. He can be just and merciful at the same time, while a living entity being minute can only be in one rasa at one time. So that's why we see that difference, and we perceive ourselves as merciful at one time, but we cannot be just in that state. To be just, we have to be in a different mode at the same time, in the time continuum. So he possesses all this simultaneously, and we are ek rasa, so we can be in only one state at one time. That is also basically possessed by the conditioning we are in and the time effect. So we keep changing. So our qualities, though we have one, but one quality is always winning, predominant in time's continuum. While Krishna, there is no effect of time, so he possesses all these qualities at the same time. And he can exercise them all at the same time. So he can be, like while killing millions of people, he is still merciful.
Yeah.
So that just came to my mind.
Thank you. The other point, just to add, is when God kills, the effect is different from when the human being under conditioned state kills. The results are completely different. So is that a little bit answer? No, Hari Sankirtan Prabhu. Let's drill deep into it, because that's something. It's a very fundamental question that you asked. God can be. You are just painting God as like a rosy person, but what about all this stuff? It's a very, very fundamental and very deep question that you asked. I'm really grateful that you asked, so that we can discuss it more at length. Because, yeah, okay. Sorry. Any other final questions before you go ahead?
Yeah, I just want to add something. Is it the context that matters and how you apply that quality? Is it the context that matters, how you apply that quality? I mean, because he's stealing makhan and that is praised. But if in our world somebody steals some money from the bank, that's not praised. So is it the context that matters, because quality as such itself can be seen in different manner. So
it's not the context that matters, it's the personality that matters.
Okay.
Because Krishna, please understand that God is the creator and owner of everything that exists. In fact, forget butter. The cows from which the milk came belong to him. And thousands of Lakshmis are ready to serve him. He doesn't need to actually steal butter to satisfy his hunger. If he doesn't have hunger. These Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, he getting angry and he getting hungry and he's like, hangry. That's the word that came across. When you are hungry and you are called hangry. All these qualities, why does Krishna need? He is maintaining innumerable number of people with butter. Can't he get access to a little butter? So try to understand there is a deeper context on why Krishna does it. And then when it is explained, then it takes on a whole different meaning. Please understand that when you eat prasad, what do? You cook prasad, you offer prasad, you go on to the altar, ring the bell, say some mantras, and then if Krishna is very satisfied, then he'll eat your prasadam. And then once it is done, then it's boga. He'll eat your boga, and then it becomes prasadam, and you can enjoy. Yes or yes? In Vrindavan, Krishna had no time to wait for these formal offerings. He was so greedy for the love of his devotees. He said, I don't have time for all these formalities. As soon as it is done, I'll go and grab. It is the love of God that is being expressed through the stealing of his butter, not the fact that he needed some butter. So unless one understands the deeper meaning, then you won't know why Krishna did what he did. He is eager. He was waiting. When will these people... In Vrindavan, he doesn't have to wait. He just goes steals. Because Brahma also was bewildered. This 5-6-year-old boy, he looks like a village boy. Really illiterate person. At that time, Krishna was not even learned. He didn't go to Sandipani's Muni school. From a material perspective. He was just going around with his cowherd boyfriends, and they were grazing cows. And Gopashtami day, then from calves it became cows. He got promoted on Gopashtami. And then when he was going, the boys would share their lunch. And the cow would have eaten his lunch, and Krishna would grab from his thing. Really, did he need others? And they would grab from him. Because the idea was, it was the love that was predominant in Vrindavan, and Krishna's rules and regulations, they don't stand. Krishna is not really fond of rules and regulations in Vrindavan. There's no rules. That doesn't mean it's a wild, wild west kind of situation. In one sense it is, but in other sense it's a spiritually wild situation. So, does that a little bit answer your question, Matri? Yeah, so it's very different. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Besides all the above mentioned 50 qualities, Lord Krishna possesses 5 more, which are sometimes partially manifested in the person of Lord Brahma, of Lord Shiva. These transcendental qualities are as 51, changeless, 52, all cognizant, 53, ever fresh, 54, Saksit Ananda, which means possessing all eternal blissful, 55, possessing all mythic perfections.
So these 5 qualities are found in human beings, conditioned souls? Who? Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and other demigods. So the word interest. We are done? When should we stop? Okay, we have about 4 minutes or so. No problems. Yeah, I realize that too. So we'll stop at 9:45. So we'll complete the next paragraph. No, actually we'll go to the next 2 paragraphs. Let's complete at least 64 qualities of Krishna. So please go ahead, Jaikanai Prabhu.
Krishna also possesses 5 other qualities which are manifest in the body of Narayana, and they are listed as follows. 56. He is inconceivable potency. 57. Uncountable universes generate from his body. 58. He is the original source of all incarnations. 59. He is the giver of salvation to the enemies whom he kills. 60. He is the attractor of liberated souls. All these transcendental qualities are manifest wonderfully in the personal feature of Lord Krishna.
Next paragraph.
Besides these 60 transcendental qualities, Krishna has 4 more, which are not manifest even in the Narayan form of Godhead, what to demigods or living entities. They are as follows. 61. He is the performer of wonderful varieties of pastimes, especially his childhood pastimes. 62. He is surrounded by devotees endowed with wonderful love of Godhead. 63. He can attract all living entities all over the universes by playing on his flute. 64. He has a wonderful excellence of beauty which cannot be rivaled anywhere in the creation.
So in Sanskrit, they are these are called Leela Madhuri, Prem Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, and Rupa Madhuri. So, okay, let's read one more paragraph. We have a minute or so before.
Adding to the list these 4 exceptional qualities of Krishna, it is to be understood that the aggregate number of qualities of Krishna is 64. Srila Rupa Goswami has attempted to give evidences from various scriptures about all 64 qualities present in the person of the Supreme Lord.
Come down. Okay, so we can start next. If you have a class ever again, then we can start with the beautiful bodily features. If you are so inclined, you can directly jump to the religious, and then you can see what, because each first line starts actually with a definition. Most of the places, so it is like that. Any questions? Final questions before we ask Unnati to come over? Questions, comments, concerns? All right. Thank you so much. Vatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo.
Scroll down a little bit. Yeah. So, now, beautiful bodily features. Any comparison of the different parts of the Lord's body to different material objects cannot factually be a complete comparison. Ordinary persons who cannot understand how exalted are the bodily features of the Lord are simply given a chance to understand by a material comparison. It is said that Krishna's face is as beautiful as the moon, his thighs are as powerful just like the trunks of elephants, his arms are just like two pillars, his palms are expanded like lotus flowers, his chest is just like a doorway, his hips are dense, and the middle of his body is a terrace.
Okay, next, auspicious characteristics.
Auspicious characteristics. There are certain characteristics of different limbs which are considered to be very auspicious and are fully present in the body of the Lord. In this connection, one friend of Nanda Maharaj, speaking about Lord Krishna's auspicious bodily symptoms, said, "My dear king of the cowherds, I can find 32 auspicious symptoms on the body of your son. I am wondering how this body could have taken his birth in a family of cowherd men. Generally, when Lord Krishna appears, he does so in a family of Kshatriyas king, as did Lord Ramachandra, and sometimes in the family of Brahmanas. But Krishna accepted the role of a son to a Maharaj Nanda, despite the fact that Nanda belonged to Vaishya's community. The business of Vaishya's community is trade, commerce, and protections of cows. Therefore, his friend, who may have been born into a Brahmana family, expressed his wonder at how such an exalted child could take a birth in a family of Vaishyas. Anyway, he pointed out the auspicious sign on the body of Krishna to the boy foster's father.
So the earlier thing that it's referred to was that when we describe Krishna's beauty, we compare it to some material objects. But actually Krishna is so beautiful that anything compared to material object is just for our own understanding. You get an idea. For example, Krishna has the gait of an elephant. His teeth are like row of pearls, and then his lips are red like bimba fruit. Those comparisons, they kind of give a mental picture of the beauty of Krishna, but the actual beauty of Krishna cannot really be compared, or the depth is so out of comparison, but it gives an idea. So is that, am I trying to make clear, or is it okay?
He continued, "This boy has a reddish luster in 7 places: his eyes, the end of his hands, the end of his legs, his palate, his lips, his tongue, and his nails. A reddish luster in these 7 places is considered to be auspicious. 3 parts of his body are very broad: his waist, forehead, and chest. 3 parts of his body are short: his neck, thighs, and genitals. 3 parts of his body are very deep: his voice, intelligence, and navel. There is highest in 5 parts of his body: his nose, arms, ears, forehead, and thighs. In 5 parts of his body there is fineness: his skin, the hairs on his head, and on the other parts of his body, his teeth, and his fingertips. The aggregate of all these bodily features is manifest only in the bodies of great personalities."
Yes, Koladvipa Prabhu had it.
He was, considering the astrology chart of Lord Chaitanya, and he was looking at him. He found like all these bodily symptoms were present, and he told like only Lord Narayan has these qualities.
Wow,
So,
nice.
So even like somebody has to be God, he has to have possess this kind of quality.
So can anybody, for credit points, give the Sanskrit term used in Chaitanya Charitamrita for these specification? No, there is a specific term in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's Nyagrodha.
Yes, Nagrat Parimandal. But Nagrat Parimandal means Prabhu, his chest is like, his body is 3.5 times of his chest.
Oh, I see.
Length.
That's not that.
That's one of the qualities.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me.
The fate lines on the palms are also considered to be auspicious bodily symptoms. In this connection, one old gopi informed King Nananda, "Your son possesses various wonderful fate lines on his palms. There are the signs of lotus flowers and wheels on his palms, and on his soles there are the signs of a flag, a thunderbolt, a fish, a rod for controlling elephants, and a lotus flower. Please observe how auspicious these signs are."
Pleasing. Beautiful bodily features which automatically attracts the eyes are called ruchira, pleasing. Krishna possesses this attractive feature of ruchira in his personal features. In the third canto, second chapter, verse 13 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement about this. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his pleasing dress appeared at the scene of the sacrificial arena when King Yudhishthira was performing the Rajasuya sacrifice. All important personalities from different parts of the universe had been invited to the sacrificial arena, and all of them, upon beholding Krishna there, considered that the Creator had ended all of his craftsmanship in the creation of this particular body of Krishna.
So, not all. So here, if you see this paragraph, when you read Bhagavatam, or when I read Bhagavatam, oh yes, Krishna entered into the sacrificial arena, he was nicely dressed. It is what we'll read in Bhagavatam. But when Rupa Goswami read the same thing, it enumerated one pastime of Krishna. Because he picked up this exact verse from Srimad Bhagavatam to highlight or give proof of the fact that Krishna's appearance is very pleasing to the eyes. And he quoted the other kings who said, "Wow, look at this boy who has entered into the sacrificial arena." Not all in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Yudhishthira were pure devotees. And some of them, they didn't even know that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They just thought he was, another very significant personality. They gave respect to him. He's powerful. Some people said he's a very Mayavi fellow. He's a very clever trickster. He does all sorts of tricks. And he killed so many demons. Because by the time he reached there, his reputation has been established like he's a pretty formidable personality. But to how much formidable, nobody knew. So they said, oh, therefore it is mentioned, the Creator has ended his craftsmanship by creating Krishna, thinking that Brahma can create Krishna. Whereas the truth is, Krishna creates Brahma. Or Krishna doesn't even, Krishna's portion of a portion of a portion of a portion creates Brahma. But just see the simile on how the Bhagavatam uses and how Rupa Goswami uses this verse to highlight that Krishna is so pleasing to look upon. Make sense? Right. So when we read Bhagavatam through the eyes of the Acharyas, then we get the flavor of Bhagavatam. Because it's mentioned in Bhagavatam that every syllable showers pure love of God. And Bhagavatam is like the personification of love of God. But when I read, it's, I feel a little drowsy and sleepy, and it's a good book to, have it at night time. But actually the Acharyas, if you read it from the eyes of the Acharyas, read Bhagavatam, that book is a short thing, not to give any sleep at you at night. You'll be all awake thinking of, wow, that was Krishna so pleasing. Please understand that even this, from the statement in Bhagavatam, those who were unaware of Krishna's personality, they still praised Krishna, which means he's beautiful for everyone, even for demons and devotees alike. He is extremely pleasing to look at. That beauty is like so captivating. This heart becomes like thrilled to see that beauty of Krishna. Swapnil Prabhu had an observation. question, comment.
Prabhu, is there any mention of Shishupal and his associates appreciating beauty of Krishna?
I don't remember on top of my head, but given the fact that if you are envious of someone, you will appreciate their beauty in a negative way. They might be wearing the most expensive, the good-looking ornament in the world. They'll say, look at this, it's so gaudy color. I don't like that color. It might be so if you are so much envy of Krishna, you must have mentioned, because 24/7 he was talking of Krishna in a blaspheming way, that he attained liberation. Because it's mentioned in Bhagavatam that can we look up if somebody can bring up 7th canto, 1st chapter, 30th and 31st verse, then we can go a little bit into that. But given the fact that he was constantly absorbed in envy of Krishna and appearances are something that you criticize, I'm sure it must not have been unmentioned, but in a negative way. Thirty is fine. Let's see if you can. What? Okay. Kindly repeat after me. Kamadveshad bhaya snehad yata bhaktyeshvare manaha aveshya tadagam hitva Bahavastadgatim gataha. Translation. Many personalities, many persons have obtained liberation simply by thinking of Krishna with great attention and giving up sinful activities. This great attention may be due to lusty desires, inimical feelings, fear, affection, or devotional service. I shall now explain how one receives Krishna's mercy by concentrating one's mind upon him. The next verse. Kindly repeat after me. Gopya kamad bhayat kamso dveshat chaidyadayo nripaha sambandhad vrishnaya snehad Yoyam bhaktya vayam vibho. Translation. My dear King Yudhishthir, the gopis by their lusty desires, Kamsa by his fear, Shishupal and the other kings by envy, the Yadus by their familial relationship with Krishna, you Pandavas by your great affection for Krishna, and we, the general devotees, by our devotional service, have obtained the mercy of Krishna. So this goes on to show that Shishupal attained the mercy of Krishna. But coming back to your point, Harisankirtan Prabhu, that even if you have that envy, and as Koladvipa Prabhu was mentioning, if it is directed towards Krishna, that can become positive, even if it is negative. But usually in the conditioned state, the envy is directed towards the fellow persons. But somehow, if you are lucky, it gets directed one pointed way to Krishna, you still will get Krishna. That is the beauty. If you are in this material world, if you are envious of someone, they will become envious of you. But if you become envious of Krishna, then that envy is destroyed. Somehow or other, if you can. So that is the difference in that reciprocation. So, given the fact that Shishupal obtained Krishna and he was thinking of Krishna in one pointed way, albeit it was through envy, I am sure his dress must have come for some criticism, or his looks must have come for some criticism.
One question. In verse 30, it says that even the people who achieve the devotion, although by inimical, whatever it is, we have to give up sinful activities, right? But then I don't understand how Sishupada or Kamsa gave up the sinful activities. They didn't give up. So how the contradiction works then in 30 and 31?
So, in general, you have to give up the sinful activities. But if they are directed towards Krishna, those sinful activities will be burnt, even if you are not pure. Somehow, that's what it is said. Rupa Goswami, yena tena prakarena. Somehow or other, if you can get attached to Krishna, then automatically everything will be taken care of. But having said that, in the sadhana stage, Rupa Goswami mentions in Nectar of Devotion that we follow rules and regulations. There are certain control of mind and senses that they are certainly required. So it's a one-way traffic. It's not like a one-way traffic. I love God, then I don't need to do anything else. That you might think you love God, but actually you are on a different platform where you have to actually follow the rules. Is that a little bit? Okay. Yes, Prabhuji. Your good name, Prabhu? Chandra Udayan. Chandravadan. Thank you. Chandravadan.
So
Moonlight
I just
Lord
want to
Gauranga.
clarify, based on some understanding, in every liberation, I think you will not get Krishna. You will get liberated, but you're not going to go back to Golok Vrindavan. That could be the difference. Say, the Kamsa, when Kamsa got liberated, he may not achieve Krishna in Golok Vrindavan.
Yes, I agree. There are gradations. There are gradations.
So those are the, I think, differences we can focus. But I think the Pandavas will achieve the Krishna in Golok Vrindavan because their devotion was lovingly. Or they say gopis.
Yeah, gopis. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that point out.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So Putana became a nurse in Golok Vrindavan. So it depends. There's no hard and fast rule that every demon will get Brahman versus Other questions, comments? It's 10:15. So the question, if you have, when is the prasadam? Are you going to stop now? If the prasadam is ready, we can stop now, because we were doing it as a way to discuss or lengthen our discussion of Krishna, which is a good time to do during Kartik or otherwise.
So another question, when we read the Bhagavatam, all these qualities are not explicitly mentioned. Any reason why Shukadeva Goswami didn't mention these qualities because Parikshit was explain about the Lord and explain his qualities first times, but we don't see these qualities explicitly. Or it's like everything is there in Bhagavatam, we have to figure out where it is and understand it. And Rupa Goswami has done the work for us.
Well, Shukadeva Goswami gave a narrative of Bhagavatam. To an extent, it was a conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. And Maharaj Parikshit was not just beginning to learn ABCD at that point of time. He was an elevated devotee of the Lord himself, Bhagavatottama. So his level of understanding Bhagavatam was at a much higher level. And Shukadeva Goswami given the fact that he had 7 days, he didn't have time to actually delve into the technical aspects of the whole thing. So he gave it as a narrative. And that satisfied Shukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit so much that he said, I'm just listening this nectar, I don't feel like, I don't have thirst, I don't have sleep, I don't have hunger, nothing, just keep on reciting. Because after that he had hunger. When we read the Mahabharata of how Takshaka came in the form of a fruit. He came himself hidden in a fruit. And then he was saying, let's have. At that time when it was spoken, it was completely. So he was receiving at a high level. So, that was spoken at that level. But now today, if we go read it without some acharyas being present, it will be hard. Maybe we'll fail to grasp the significance. But that doesn't mean, you are saying that is, can I not read Bhagavatam? What's the point? We are distributing Bhagavatam. We are asking people to read Bhagavatam. 2 things. Bhagavatam reading is always pleasing to the heart, irrespective of what level we read. The second thing is, Srila Prabhupada, through his extreme mercy, gave the purports to clarify all the concepts to read Bhagavatam. So in that way we do have. But I do agree. Any scriptures, for example, Bhagavatam, yes, but even any other scripture, without some knowledge of the acharyas, it's hard to understand. Upanishads, Ishopanishad says, Tanejati, Tannaijati, Tadure, Tadvantike. He's near, he's far. He's within everything, he's without. How do it seems illogical. How do you understand that? Or in the Ishopanishad, like, those who worship the demigods, they go to their destination is darkness, but still more so are those who worship the impersonal form of absolute truth. It's how do you understand those kind of statements? It's very terse. If Vedas and the scriptures were do it yourself and learn it yourself, master it yourself kind of books, then we wouldn't need spiritual masters. And Krishna would, yeah. The other point is that these scriptures, they are open, but they are open secrets. As in, you won't know the secret part of it unless you have an implicit faith in Krishna and the spiritual master. It's that, what's the verse, please? Tasyaista kattehyarta prakashante mahatmanaha. Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. Yes. So we need some help to understand. And otherwise, from a theoretical perspective, you can. If you see some of the translations of Bhagavad Gita, they are amazing. Because the way they have written, there is one famous translation where he just wrote the running commentary. Word to word, he translated it. And then if you see, the meanings will come out, but that person is not a devotee. He's maybe an erudite scholar in Sanskrit. So, I know. Sometimes you feel like, why didn't I get it right away off the bat? But this is a process that Krishna kind of put it in place. He says, I'm not that easy to get. I'm not a do it yourself, master it yourself kind of project. Swapnil Prabhu had something to add?
Prabhu, even Upanishads, if we see, they were written for people who are transitioning from worship of demigods and from the material sphere to devotional service. So they were meant more for intellectual contemplation. So there is so much scope for going wrong in them, in the translations.
Yeah, true. In fact, Upanishads, they mainly dwell on the impersonal form of Krishna. It's said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the first 14 Mangalacharan prayers, Yad Brahma Upanishadai. Right. So one can look up that verse where it is said that Upanishads mainly deal with the impersonal form. And if you indulge in Jnana Yoga, which involves a lot of like mental jugglery and philosophical speculation, then you come to the understanding that God is Brahman with no form. Any other questions? 10:20, it's a little late. I don't want devotees to not have prasadam. Yes. Any other questions? If Krishna so desires, then we'll continue on the nectar of devotion. Because we are just like, today we have just taken on the ocean's beach, we've taken few drops. That ocean is not salty, nor is it cold like Pacific. It's extremely flavorful and extremely relishable, and few drops of it. Actually, Mahaprabhu says that the devotional service to Krishna is like an ocean. I can just give you a few drops to give you the taste of that ocean. So that's what we are trying to do. Krishna is like an unlimited ocean of intense sweetness that we are just trying to relish, in our own small way, in a very greedy way, the beauty, the form, and just the pastimes of Krishna through following Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas. So whenever we get another chance, then we can go through. Any other final questions, comments, concerns? I deeply thank you for the patience, for your association, And please forgive me for any offenses. So, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvi.
His Grace Srivas Pandit Prabhu ki